Breath of the Wild was the first Zelda game in the series to break the mold in many different ways. It removed the traditional dungeons the series was known for and replaced them with futuristic shrines and divine beasts, while the items and weapons you found throughout those dungeons were replaced by a magical life. Fantasy setting was replaced with the more sci-fi fantasy, with the heavy focus on technology. It took Zelda into a new era, the era of technology. And this new era of tech has become an integral part of the game's identity, as it didn't just affect the game's gameplay style, but the overall story and direction. For over 10,000 years, after Hyrule used it to seal Calamity Ganon back then. Though the King of Hyrule at that time didn't see the need for the tech anymore, afraid of how powerful it really was. So he banished it along with the Sheikah who created it. And while the king turning his back on what helped aid them in the battle seemed unnecessary then, he may have been onto something. As when Hyrule dug up this lost tech 10,000 years later, all in hopes of it once again aiding them in their battle against Calamity Ganon's return as prophesized, it all backfired this time around. Calamity Ganon was able to use the power of its malice to corrupt the Sheikah tech and use it against Hyrule, trapping Hyrule's 4 champions in their divine beasts, forcing them to meet their demise as the Blight Ganons took their lives, while sending out an army of corrupt guardians to destroy almost all of Hyrule, leaving the kingdom in rubble and a post-apocalyptic state. It even almost cost Hyrule's chosen hero his life, as he fended off against the corrupt guardians as much as he could, reaching the brink of death, which then had him put into stasis for 100 years to recover that damage. Hyrule had almost lost this time around, as Calamity Ganon didn't let history repeat itself and used the tech that once helped stop him in his favor. And while it seemed like no good had come from rediscovering this lost tech, in time, good eventually came out of it, as it helped bring Link back to health, even if it took 100 years to do so, and gave him the tools needed to recover from his amnesia and reclaim the divine beasts back to Hyrule's side, while also using the shrines as a way of preparing him for the battle this time around. Overall, the Sheikah and their tech played a huge role in both hurting and helping Hyrule in many ways. But now, with Tears of the Kingdom, this era of tech continues with an even newer type of technology that resembles the Sheikah tech. From the blue-powered machines and vehicles of the Sheikah in Breath of the Wild, to now the green-powered vehicles and machines, along with the abilities Link has in his arm that we see in Tears of the Kingdom. But what is the source of this new kind of tech, and how will it help or hurt Hyrule? Well, from what we know, it seems likely to have a connection with the Zonai tribe, an ancient civilization that comes from the Faron region. And with Faron being the land of courage, the green color the tech gives off makes sense, along with how Tears of the Kingdom's official logo shows an Ouroboros of 2 dragons that look a lot like what is seen in the Zonai ruins, which may indicate that their tribe also had advanced technology similar to the Sheikah that was forgotten throughout Hyrule. As with the many Sheikah tech, its lights glowed blue, presumably representing the Triforce of Wisdom. As when Hylia first created the Sheikah, they were meant to serve the goddess's reincarnation and her family, with some even unable to pass on to the next life until their duty was fulfilled. They were the protectors of the royal family, and because of it they were represented in blue, similar to the Triforce of Wisdom that was entrusted to Hyrule's princesses. When Ganondorf took over the Sheikah tech, that blue light turned into red, representing the Triforce of Power. And now it seems that there are tons of new tech to be discovered that light up green, most likely representing the Triforce of Courage. But what caused this tech and the Zonai tribe to be forgotten? Tears of the Kingdom may give us the answer to that, and what happened to the Triforce of Courage, and why it was absent from Link until now. Both Zelda and Ganondorf have clearly used their powers of the Triforce throughout Breath of the Wild. So Tears of the Kingdom could be Link's turn to use his power with the Triforce of Courage, also using it to control and create tech with it. And the new hand that reaches towards Link with Zelda asking for it to lend him your power could be of a previous Link who has used the Triforce of Courage to seal Ganondorf's body. All up until that seal broke. And with what remained of that hero, it reached towards Link and gave him the power to use for himself now. And this could explain why Link didn't have the power to stop Ganon 100 years prior, as he lacked the power of the Triforce of Courage, since presumably that power had still remained in whatever hero prior, using it to seal Ganondorf's body. But with the seal now broken, that power had finally passed on to the next hero. While it doesn't explain how the previous hero remained alive for so long, it could have just been what was left of him, just being his arm that held the Triforce of Courage, using it to seal Ganondorf's body. And because of that, the power never passed on to the next hero, denying him the ability to awaken it within himself. So Link had to encounter those remains and have it merge into him. Along with Link's new look, this could be what the previous hero wore who originally sealed Ganondorf's body. Similar to how Link was handed down the hero's tunic in Twilight Princess from the spirit of Faron. And this may explain why Link was never given a green outfit in Breath of the Wild, as he represented Hyrule and the Sheikah. And now that Link has awoken this new power in his new arm, he will no longer need the help of the Sheikah tech and rely on his own powers to save Hyrule this time around. And it seems like in Tears of the Kingdom we will be given much more creativity with this new kind of tech. As we've seen, Link will be able to create his own vehicles from it, and it looks like it won't be limited to certain designs. With the vehicles we've seen so far, there seems to be a green glue-like material that is used to put them together, possibly letting the player create their own version of transportation. And of course, vehicles aren't the only new tech powered by this green power, as we've seen multiple enemy types that also seem to be powered by it, along with certain weapons used by Link. So there could be a possibility that we may be able to craft those weapons as well. It would give the player so many more creative ways to solve things, not just in traversing Hyrule, but even taking on enemies. Overall, it seems like Link will have the Triforce of Courage in his hands this time around, giving him what he was missing before, and putting him on even playing grounds with the other Triforce wielders. Ganon, on the other hand, will continue to use his powers of the Triforce to spawn in his creatures to plague Hyrule, from summoning them with the Blood Moon, to maybe even controlling more Sheikah tech or this newly rediscovered Zonai tech Link will be using. And let's not forget Zelda and her new looking Sheikah slate. Though this slate seems to be missing the Sheikah logo, so maybe it's connected to the Zonai as well, or something else entirely. Maybe with Zelda awakening her powers of the Triforce of Wisdom, we'll also be able to manipulate tech in her own way. Hopefully though, we'll be seeing more of her outside just the beginning and end of the game. Only time will tell, as we're less than 3 months away from the game's final release. In general, it seems like Hyrule will continue to be powered by the sci-fi age of technology, while merging it into its fantasy land. I know there's a fair share of Zelda fans who don't like the sci-fi fantasy direction the series is going for. But for a sequel of a game that was heavily based around it, it only makes sense for Tears of the Kingdom to follow and expand on it. While I do hope future Zelda titles stray away from it, I do like this era of Hyrule and the step it took. Personally, I would welcome all types of Zelda games, as long as fantasy plays a big role in it. And hell, it's not like Nintendo hasn't thought of many different interpretations of Zelda, with some making even Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom look way more tame in comparison. I think overall Nintendo nailed the sci-fi and fantasy aesthetic the games are going for, as it doesn't stray away too far of what the series is known for, and still has magical aspects that make it fit the series altogether. And if the Triforce's powers are now used to create and manipulate technology in this new era, I welcome it. It's a series that kind of reflects the real world, as with time, things will advance, and eventually Hyrule will reach an age of modernization, even if it involves divine and magical properties to do so. But what do you guys think of Tears of the Kingdom's direction, and Zelda as a whole? Do you miss the Zelda of old, or do you like the way the series is heading? Please let me know in the comments below and leave a like to show your support. Don't forget to subscribe for more Tears of the Kingdom and other Zelda related videos. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I've been ZM, and I'll see you all in the next one.